Welcome to Kitchen Conversation with Lisa and Sterling, and today we're going to talk about allergens and food intolerance. Lisa, it's now the 20th of September and people are talking about PPDS again. The FSA are having lots of meetings, it's been in the news, it's on social media, but what is it?
Right, well PPDS is pre-packed food for direct sale, and previously there was an exemption for these foods that they didn't need to have a label as opposed to foods that are made in a manufacturing environment and sold to a different person. So if they were made on site and then sold on site and put in a pack, they wouldn't need to have a label. But of course we know that the recent SI that came out on the 5th of September has actually required, following the consultation, that all previous PPDS foods would now have to have a label of some sorts, but we still don't know exactly what that label would involve, but we know it's going to be the full ingredients and it's going to have allergens on it. But
do we actually know what PPDS is? Because to me, there still isn't an agreed definition, so we're working on something that nobody's actually defined at the moment.
Well, this is the problem. So PPDS stands for pre-packed food for direct sale. So there are two elements really. One is pre-packed and the other is direct sale. So we were asked at UK Hospitality to actually put together a decision tree which would explain when foods fell into what category really, to help in the process of defining PPDS, because there is no definition in law. And for some reason this seems to be really rushed through. So we've got a problem here that we've got legislation that's going at such a pace that we're not actually able to consider certain things or the consequences, the unseen consequences of the legislation.
Because I think that's my concern. And we both got kids, and who can't feel really emotional about what happened to Natasha and how much you feel for her parents. But I think if we're not careful, we're going to have a system where Natasha's law might result in maybe more people getting injured or, God forbid, dying than if this legislation wasn't in place. Because to me it seems that it's cutting out the discussion between the business and the customer. And also I wonder, is it taking away the responsibility from somebody that might have an allergic reaction? And almost they get to a stage where they get a false security. Oh, because there's now legislation, then the food must be safer, and then I can take a step back. Whereas I'm starting to feel that the lack of this conversation could make this whole process a lot more dangerous.
I agree. I've always been worried about the public health significance of this legislation, and it's this lack of dialogue that will ensue because people will have this false sense of security, because you'll think that the label on one of these foods that's made in a catering environment is the equivalent to one that's made in a factory. And it's almost like, don't be careful what you wish for, because actually these foods are totally different entities. The factory food is made under very strict control, and the one in the catering business is made in a small catering business that maybe simultaneously handles every allergen you could possibly think about and more.
Because that worries me. Working in manufacturing, I literally used to have sleepless nights. It was always about the labelling, using the wrong product in the right pack, or vice versa, and you end up mislabelling and under-declaring. But the opportunity to do that in a small shop where you have a transient workforce, not necessarily the best paid workforce, people who don't have access to lots of technical information, they may get support from the EHP who visits, but they don't visit as much as they used to. And I really worry that actually what you're creating is a system that is more opportunities for things to be mislabeled, not less.
Yeah, I think where people will try to do this without the technical support, then there's plenty of opportunity for things to go horribly wrong. And we know even in manufacturing every day there are recalls because people have forgotten to put an allergen in on a label. But one of the problems at the moment is, going back to this definition of the pre-packed food for direct sale, or the lack of definition, is that we've now been told that this decision has to be made by the 1st of October this year.
1st of October this year?
Yeah, about the definition. And of course, the stakeholders have all got together and had meetings, and we thought we were going down one direction of travel, and only last week we were told that actually that's not going to happen, because not only isn't there an actual definition of pre-packed food for direct sale, but there isn't actually a definition of direct sale either. So this makes it very, very difficult.
So this date of the 1st of October is going to be really critical, isn't it?
Well, it is, because we must get this definition right, because we need to know who's in scope. And one of the worries, and the reason why they've put the 1st of October in for this definition to be determined, is because they want to be able to give businesses 2 years before the implementation of the regulations, which is in 1st of October 2021. But of course, what businesses would prefer is to make sure we get this definition right.
That's less than 2 weeks away.
It is.
And you've got to get people to agree on the definition, not just come up with one, but then the different stakeholders to all agree, and that seems to be very, very rushed.
Well, to be honest, many of the stakeholders were in agreement, and lawyers have got involved now. So, and they've said that because there isn't a definition of direct sale, they're trying to find some nuance somewhere in the law that reflects that. And currently, the direction of travel seems to be that it's any food that's sold in a food business that's got a package on it, which of course extends the scope enormously, and means that people selling food behind a counter could get caught up in this, even though a customer has to ask them to be sold the food. So that makes things very, very different. And so now we feel that the goalposts have been moved dramatically. But we've still only got 10 days to actually formulate what is this definition.
So there it is. Things are moving very quickly. We're trying to keep our finger on the pulse to keep you updated. And I can definitely see a kitchen conversation appearing soon after the 1st of October to try to keep you updated. But we'd be very interested in your opinion. So please add some comments and share if you think this is an important issue to you or your industry.
And also, if you want to, you could always make representations to DEFRA to say that it really is so important that we extend this deadline so that we can actually get the right decision made rather than the wrong decision made quickly.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.